Hi there and welcome to the Made by Jo Crafty podcast. My name is Jo. I'm a knitter, sewer and crocheter based in Fife in Scotland, and this is my knitting podcast where I talk about everything that I have been working on recently. For the first time in a while I actually have knitting, sewing and crochet to show you today, which is pretty awesome. I have had lots of creative juices going on at the moment, lots of castanitis and a really big drive to get back at my sewing machine, which has been huge. This is a standard sort of knitting podcast format, but I just talk about all three crafts. So I'll talk to you about my finished objects, my WIPS for this month, I think it's been since I last filmed, and then a little bit of acquisitions that I got at a recent yarn festival I attended. But yeah, we'll just get straight into it, I guess. I'm going to start with a thing that I don't actually have with me, a couple of things I don't have with me because they have been gifted. So the first thing is, last time I showed you some charity socks that I was knitting for the Operation Christmas Stocking, which works alongside the homeless charity Crisis. At Wool Gathering at Winton, which is the festival I went to recently, they were doing a collection for different charity knits. So they were looking for socks, gloves, cowls, blanket squares, everything that you can imagine they're looking for. So my mum and I both knitted a pair of socks and we donated them at Wool at Winton. So if I got a picture of them, I'll pop them on the screen. If not, I did show them last time. I was just knitting, they were like a maroon colour. And I finished them off and donated them when I attended the festival and had a lovely chat with one of the ladies there. And one of my finished objects is actually in relation to that. So I'll leave that conversation there for now and I'll speak about it a little bit more later. The other finished object from last time was my Tulip dress. I was knitting the Knitting for Olive Tulip dress in two different types of hand-dyed yarn, and I think last time you saw it, it was perhaps I just joined the sleeves onto the body, and I did in fact finish that. It was for my sister to gift to a friend. However, when I finally gave it to my sister, she said it was far too precious to gift to that person. I know that probably sounds a little bit strange, but my mum had made quite a few things for this baby and she finished them quicker than me, so by that point the baby had 2 or 3 knitted items and my sister thought that that was probably enough for that child. So she now has my Tulip dress, so I will get her to send a picture if I didn't take a finished object picture, but it's now with her for her to gift to a different baby, or perhaps to gift to me if I ever have a little girl. But if she doesn't find anyone to give it to, I will be having it back because I was obsessed with it. If you're interested in the Tulip dress, I'll just talk a little bit about it. It is a lace skirt with a full bodysuit underneath, so it's got a little bit to cover nappies and things like that, and a cute little skirt that sits over the top. I really enjoyed the pattern. It is bottom up, which is my least favourite construction, and even though every single project on Ravelry said this takes longer than you think, I thought, it can't be that bad. Funnily enough, all the people that have made this pattern before me were right, and it does take longer than you think because it was a single strand of fingering weight yarn on, I want to say 2.75mm needles, or maybe 3mm needles. I'll put it on the screen if I've got it noted somewhere. So the stitches were tiny. You started from the bottom. For the little bodysuit it wasn't so bad because you sort of start at the bit that meets in the crotch and then you extend out to cover their little butt, and then it's just knitting up straight till you would join it with the skirt. But the skirt was like a flowy, well, you'll be able to see it from the photo, but it's like a flowy, wider gathered skirt. So it's massive, like this, the rounds are so long and it's lace work as well, so you have to concentrate. But then once you join the skirt and the body together, the top part, the sort of sleeves and the yoke is so fast. That knit up really quickly, but getting to that point took a while. I was really pleased with the finished object. Everyone I've shown has gushed over it, and yeah, I can't wait to either see it go to a baby that my sister is really excited to give it to, or to get it back myself to gift to someone if anyone I know starts to get pregnant. Thankfully I'm at the age just now where not very many people around me are having babies. Lots of people around me are getting married at the moment or getting engaged, but I think I'm a couple of years off the baby boom, which means I've got time to knit things. But my sister is really in that where almost all of her friends are having babies. So hopefully I'll either get it back and get to keep it, or she will gift it to a worthy baby, and the person will really love it. So I was really pleased with the tulip dress. So they're my first 2 finished objects, and sorry I didn't have anything but photos to show you because I did gift them already. But I do have 3 other finished objects, 2 sewing and 1 knitting. So I'll go with the knitting one first, and this is what I was talking about for the crisis Operation Christmas Stocking. When we met the lovely lady at Wool Gathering at Winton, she was telling us about all the different projects that they look for to be donated, and one of the things she mentioned was blanket squares. So we got the pattern, the free pattern from her, and my mum and I have been dutifully working away on some blanket squares because we're just using scrap yarn, and we thought if we can make a little pile to donate to them at one of the next wool festivals, or if we can just send it off to the lovely lady that we were talking to, then we will be able to help the cause. So these are the blanket squares that we've made. So this first one is one my mum did. This one is one that my mum did. She's woven in most of her ends, I have not. This is one of mine, a beautiful yellow square. And then this was the first one I did as well. So got a little, I did an increase instead of a decrease down here, just ignore it, I'm hoping it'll be fine. So we've knit 4 of these blanket squares, and they are super easy to do. So if you are interested in supporting the cause as well, they are collecting donations at Woolly Good Gathering and Tangled Gala Shields this year. They're both happening in the next month or so, I think. So these don't take very long at all. You could probably knit one up in 2 evenings. And I have the free pattern, so I will leave the link to the blog down below if it's something that you're interested in knitting. But they really don't take very long at all. It's just a garter stitch square. And I've actually got one in my WIPS, so I will tell you a little bit more about how it's constructed when I get to that section. But yeah, these are our blanket squares that we will be donating to Operation Christmas Stocking this year. The yarn, I should say, for that is just any yarn that we have in stash that we are happy to stash bust. So for me, I've been using some acrylic blanket yarn. The one I'm knitting at the moment is an acrylic wool blend. My mum's been using some acrylic wool blends. The main thing we wanted was for it to be easily washable but also warm. So I've got a couple of blankets that I've crocheted downstairs that are made with acrylic that I find really toasty warm. I know that 100% wool would probably be warmer, but it also comes with the added complication of how to wash it. And I'm trying to use stash rather than buying yarn. So I'm using what I have, and I think that any blanket squares would be great regardless of what yarn they're made in. So that's our little finished, our only finished knitting well, I finished the other 2 knitting objects, but the only one I've got with me today. Then I'll move on to the sewing finished objects. So the first one I am wearing, but you cannot see, and it is a skirt. I actually only finished this yesterday. It is a tiered skirt made out of beautiful daisy print fabric. Now I have no idea what type of fabric this is because I actually got it in a D-stash from Rebecca, or the Crabea. She was letting us know on our Knit Night group chat that she had a couple of fabrics she wasn't going to use, and this was sometime last year. And then when I went to her house to pick up something else, she also gave me this this fabric as well. And I decided to make it into a tiered skirt. This year I am trying to stay away from wearing the same 3 things all the time. But I'm also trying to make staple things in my wardrobe that I can wear on a regular basis. So this skirt I decided would be perfect because it's sort of it's a blue background fabric, which I think could be interchangeable with when I would usually wear jeans. It'll go with a lot of things because it is sort of a base colour that a lot of people use on their bottom half. So I'm hopeful that I'll be able to wear this loads. I have this thing where I finish making something, particularly sewn objects, and they'll sit in the craft room in here, or they'll sit in my wardrobe for ages and I just won't have the confidence to wear them. So to try and curb that, I'm wearing it today after finishing it yesterday. It probably needs an iron, and there is definitely some threads hanging that I should have cut off, but I will go back and refine that afterwards. Right now I just wanted to enjoy wearing it. It's gloriously sunny today, which hasn't really been the case. It's been quite cold recently, but I think it's 14 degrees and sunny. So just before I filmed this I was outside enjoying some sunshine, and it was perfect. Really nice and lightweight. I followed a free pattern which was on YouTube, because this is the month, and it's a make along, and I can't remember what it's called. It's something about being frugal, and it's about using a free pattern that anyone can have access to and some fabric from your stash. And I watched this lady's videos from last year when the make along was on, and it just happens to be on at the same time just now. So I'm going to enter this into the giveaway, or into the make along, sorry, which ends on the 31st of March, but I'll pop the giveaway on the screen if I can find it from that previous video, and I will also link the video below for the lovely tutorial that the lady made that I followed to make this skirt. I made this skirt over one day, but in the video she does speak about how that's not always the case, and I think it's important to highlight some reality that I work a full-time job. I have quite a lot of things going on at the weekends at the moment, events for work or events for life, and we're also renovating a camper van, so I don't have oodles and oodles of time, which means that I try and squeeze my makes into a day if I can. So I will clear my schedule and say, right, this is a sewing afternoon or a sewing evening, and I cut out all the stuff and I work away at it, because I know that if I don't, it'll sit in my sewing room for 2 to 3 weeks and I won't get anything more worked on. I have a quilt over there that I have started that hasn't been worked on in a couple of weeks because I just haven't found the time to do it. So I think basically the ramble here is that don't compare how long it takes you to make something to someone else, because you don't know what's going on in their life or how they work, same as they don't know what's going on in your life and how busy you are. I don't have any children. I have a wonderful dog, but I don't have any children, so my sewing time is really uninterrupted when I sit down. But people with children obviously have to get up when they're needed, etc. So a bit of a ramble there, but I just have seen a lot of people, maybe beginners, feeling discouraged because things take them a long time, and that just sometimes is what happens. Which leads me on to my next project. I will have inserted a clip of this skirt, hopefully, so I don't have to get up and try and show you it now, because I would ruin my framing, which takes me ages, and I don't even think it's that great today, so I don't want to mess with it any further. But speaking of things that took a little bit of time, I have sewn myself a project bag. And actually, it was intended to be a project bag, and it's now turned into a handbag, and I'm using it as a handbag on a regular basis. So this is, oops, threads on it. It's also got stuff in it, so apologies if it makes noises. And let me zip it up. This is my Tulip pink new handbag that I have sewn. It's a quilted handbag using all of the Tulip pink fabrics that I have had in my stash for a long time, plus some random additions that aren't Tulip pink. But I really wanted to make something with this awesome fabric, sorry, there's a thread here, that I have had for ages and wanted to make something special with, but never really felt confident enough to do it. And then finally I was like, you know what, who cares? Fabric is fabric. If I don't like it, well, first of all, I thought it was going to be a project bag, so I thought it doesn't really matter if it's a project bag. And then as I was making it, I loved it so much, and now it's, like I said, ended up being a handbag. So this is a self-drafted pattern. I made it up based on my knowledge of sewing and some additional YouTube video searching. It has a vinyl sort of teal bottom to add some strength, and then, like I say, it's quilted, 2 quilted rectangles essentially that I've used to make the panels. I've used the teal vinyl to make really long straps. Now, this was because when I've been knitting, I really like the idea of knitting and walking, so I thought that maybe having the ability to put this over my shoulder would allow me to be a bit more comfortable knitting and walking. So the reason that I made this strap so long is because I can have it as a crossbody, or I can just wear it on one side. They probably are a little bit large, but to be honest, I really like them. I took this bag to Wool at Winton and I used it as my handbag, and it was perfect. But once I get rid of the straps, it's got a little inset zipper here, which sits just inside the lip of the bag, which was a new to me technique, which I'm really happy with. And then on the inside, oh my gosh, it's messy. Let me just throw some receipts out of here. In the inside, it's got this lovely Tulip pink fabric that's got, I don't know if you can see them, but it's got like the Loch Ness Monster here, and some other little animals that, and it's in my favourite colour. Teal is my favourite colour, so that's why the accents are all kind of teal. Because I wanted this to be a project bag, I didn't bother inserting an inner pocket. I think now I'm using it as a handbag, I probably would have put an inner pocket in it. I mean, right now I've got change in the bottom of this bag, I've got chewing gum in here. Like, I have so many random things in the bottom that probably would have benefited from a pocket. But I also am planning on using this as a project bag. Maybe, this is quite spring summer, I think. So maybe in the winter time I'll use it as a project bag, or just whenever I fancy. Maybe I just want to carry a project around when I'm out and about. So it's like a handbag slash project bag. Sorry. Oh, I just dropped that in my handbag. But yeah, so I've been using this loads, which is great because the handbag I made about 3 years ago is starting to fall apart because I was using it every single time I went out of the house. So I'm really proud of this. I think it's beautiful. Again, unfortunately with the sewing things, I don't often have I don't often have tutorials or patterns because sometimes I just freehand. Like, that bag is free-handed. I did follow a YouTube tutorial for how to inset the zipper, but I just typed in how to inset a zipper onto a bag and it showed you how to do it. So I'm really pleased with that bag, is basically the long and short of it. And that's all my sewing for today, I think. Kind of. I'll get to it. Anyway, let's move on to my WIPS, because there's quite a lot of them. I was having a conversation with my mum very recently about how many WIPs I have on the go at once, because she's a one WIP at a time lady. And I was sort of saying, oh, I can't do that. I like to be able to pick up and put down things. But also, I'd been doing a lot of the wrap-up winter cal, so I've been getting rid of a lot of my older long-term WIPs. And I was enjoying having less things to work on. And then all of a sudden, the last like 2 weeks, I just became obsessed with casting on new things and starting new things and working on different things. So I went from having only a few WIPs to now having quite a substantial number. So I'm just gonna start with whatever comes out of the bag first, which is this one. So this is my A Joy to Stitch bag. I did a discount with A Joy to Stitch last year. I love this bag, I use it all the time. It's the perfect sock size bag and it looks like a bag of sweeties from the sweet shop, which I love. It's got a little popper to open it, and like I say, I use it all the time. And this is housing a different charity project. I seem to be doing lots of charity projects at the moment, but this came from one of the ladies at Knit Night. Let me see, do I have a sock blocker available? Yes, I do. So one of the lovely ladies at Knit Night reached out and advised us that one of the Scottish charities, I think it's called Down Syndrome Scotland, if I've got that wrong, then that's embarrassing if I've got the name wrong, but it is on the screen now if I did get it wrong. If not, it's Down Syndrome Scotland. And they are going to the Chelsea Garden Flower Show, which for anyone that's not from the UK is a London-based flower show. It's televised, lots of charities do big garden things, they raise money. And Down Syndrome Scotland are going to the Chelsea Flower Garden Show, and they were asking knitters to help them out with part of their display. Down syndrome is, now I don't want to get this wrong, but it's to do with an additional chromosome, yep, and they wanted knitted socks that were stripy, essentially. So they were working with West Yorkshire Spinners, who had donated yarn to the project, and then the yarn was then given to us as knitters, and we are knitting stripy socks with this yarn. These three colours are the colours of the charity, because I probably wouldn't have put these together myself, but they are the charity's colours. So these are the three colours that we were given from West Yorkshire Spinners. This isn't a direct sponsorship to me at all, it's kind of come through someone else, so I didn't pay for this yarn, but I also wasn't gifted it by West Yorkshire Spinners, so I don't really know how that fits, but just so you know, I didn't pay for this, I was given it in order to knit for this charity. So there's 3 balls of their 75/25 sock yarn, and in the colour blue, red and green. I don't have the actual colour names. But basically, all of that to say, I am knitting a stripy pair of socks for this charity to take to the Chelsea Flower Garden Show. They are then having them as part of their display, and then they're auctioning off the socks afterwards to raise additional money for the charity. So this is, I haven't woven in the ends, so please excuse that. This is my Chelsea Flower Show sock. It is the pattern's called self-striping socks or something similar. It was either free or very cheap on Ravelry. I will have it linked below, but it is a lovely pattern that actually makes this interesting design. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like stepped, which I really liked. I didn't just want to do basic stripes, I wanted to do something a little bit jazzy, so I have done exactly that. It also has an interesting cuff. It's just 4 purl rows, which make this lovely rolled wavy cuff, which I thought was an interesting decision. And then I've just done a heel flap and gusset, a slip stitch heel flap and gusset, and then I've just done a regular toe. The only piece of advice we had was to try and keep the stripes going for as long as possible on the toe, or on the sock, sorry, so I have just kept going and changed over my stripes at the same rate when I got to the toe. Completely accidentally, I alternated the number of stripes per colour, because I knit 10 rows for this colour and then I did 12 rows for this colour before realising that I had actually done 12 rows. So then I did 10 rows, 12 rows, 10 rows, 12 rows all the way down the sock. So it does alternate slightly by 2 rows per colour, but I just kept it the same all the way down, and I think that is absolutely fine. I now have a bunch of ends to weave in, because I cut the ends after each one, because if it was for me, I wouldn't have done that, but because I wasn't sure who this is going to end up with, I didn't want it to have like a trail of yarn in the back of the sock in case they found that uncomfortable. And I haven't started the second sock, so I need to get on this. I think the deadline for this is sometime in April. I've got just says April up there, which is unhelpful, so I think it's later on in April, so I need to get this done in order to post it away to them so they can take them down with them to the flower show. But this is my charity knitted sock for Down Syndrome Scotland, and I'm looking forward to seeing if I can see it in the background. As part of the Chelsea Flower Show, they broadcast it, and they kind of go through all of the, or most of the little displays, and they do focus on the charities sometimes, so I'm hopeful that I might be able to see my sock as part of the display on the telly. But yeah, that is my first WIP, and I really do need to get it finished. And I am having a bit of second sock syndrome with this, if I am completely honest. I have previously knit a pair of socks that were lace pattern socks, and I found that they were really tight on my foot, so I did increase to a 2.5mm needle for these socks, and they fit really well. I think I probably would have been fine with a 2.25mm needle if I'm honest, but I put these on and they're really stretchy and really comfortable, so I think I'll make a pair of these for myself in different colours. But I really enjoyed knitting them actually, and I just really need to get onto it and not allow second sock syndrome to take hold. So maybe I'll cast those on this evening so that I can get them done. Okay, sticking with socks because I can see my second pair of socks. I think I've only got 2 pairs of socks on the needles at the moment. This is in my Cocker Spaniel bag. Again, use this all the time. Got this on Etsy ages ago, and the dog kind of looks like my dog, so I'm really happy with that. This is another pair of patterned socks, and the reason I cast these on is because I've been staring at this yarn. It was hanging up on my yarn wall right in my eyesight, and every time I filmed and spoke about sock yarn, I was like, I want to cast that on, I want to cast that on. So this is the yarn. It is by Yarn Unique, and I have been convinced, I've had this in my stash for like 2 years, and I was convinced that it was called Honeydukes because it's a Harry Potter colourway, and that's what this reminds me of. But when I actually looked at the ball band, it's not written there, so I'm not sure if it was written on like a sign in the shop and I missed it or whatever. But to me this is Honeydukes, so I'm calling it Honeydukes, and like I said, it's by Yarn Unique, who still sell, but I'm not sure they sell this anymore. But I have decided to cast on a pair of socks. I'm working them concurrently to try and avoid second sock syndrome, and I'm doing a pair of shorty socks. I'll show you one of them because it's probably easier. And this is the one I've done slightly more on. Summer Lee Summerlee Designs, I think, Summerlee Knits, came out with a new pattern recently called the Comfort Core socks. They are based on a pair of sports socks. So if you think of like a Nike Pro pair of socks that have the additional support on the foot, that's what these are based off of. And I thought it would be interesting to try her design and see how it got on. Summerlee makes videos for a lot of her sock patterns, and when she releases those videos she also includes a pattern discount. So I bought these when they were on pattern discount because I knew I would want to give them a go at some point, and I just decided to cast them on pretty quickly after the pattern came out. So these are a shorty pair. You can see the sort of traditional striping from the Honeydukes colourway, and then I've done a slip stitch, heel flap and gusset, and what I have just done is finished the gusset decreases. Now this sock, like I said, has support on the foot, so you've just done a 1x1 rib, alternating 1x1 rib on the top there, and now with this sock I have finished the decreases and I'm about to do the arch support on the sock. So that's what I'm about to do next, but I wanted to get this sock to the same place, so I've just finished the gusset decreases on this one as well about an hour ago, and I have got maybe a handful of rows left before I go on to do the arch support. So this is my Honeydukes socks, and like I said, I'm just working away on these, and because they're Harry Potter themed, I put a a witchy themed progress keeper. I've got a little cauldron on this one, and then on this one I've got a little star. Is this called a pentagram? I'm not really sure. But these came from Wildflower Yarns as part of her Myth and Magic club last year, so I thought I'd use them. I also probably should have said, and I forgot, this was a sock set and the contrast was a little green mini, so that's what I've used for the heels. And I'm working them concurrently because this is a 50-gram skein. It was a 50-gram sock set, and I don't really know how much yarn I use for socks. I measure it regularly but never seem to, you know, complete the measurement. So I'll measure it at the start but forget to measure it at the end, or I'll measure the cuff and how much it took me for the cuff and then I'll not measure anything else. Yeah, I'm not very good at sticking up with that. So I'm knitting them concurrently, so I know that I'm going to have enough for the two socks basically, and I'll see what I've got left, and if I have enough left to do two toes I will do them just in this, or I will change to the green contrast depending on my yarn needs. But yeah, that is my second WIP and second pair of socks. I actually cast those on hoping they would be my vanilla socks because I didn't have a vanilla project on the go, and then obviously decided to do this pattern, so they're less than vanilla. So now I've got two pattern socks, which I think is why I've maybe fallen a little bit stagnant with the charity pair, because I've got another pair of textured socks on the go. So I'm hoping that I can put the Honeydukes socks to bed for a little bit and work on the charity sock. I need to force myself to do that. But I'm just loving the colours of the Honeydukes one so much, I don't really want to put it down. I just want to work on everything all the time and I don't have enough time to do it all. So yeah. Oh, sorry, that's my stitch marker box. Next WIP. Now this WIP is also kind of a finished object because this is another sewn project that I finished, but I just didn't want to pull it out when I was doing everything else because I knew I would show it now. This is my most recent project bag that I have finished. It is a quilted drawstring circular bag, so it's got hairs on it and threads on it now, but you can see the quilted pattern on the bottom much easier than you can see it on the sides. But it's this cherry printed project bag. It's got a drawstring top, ta-da, and like I showed you, a circular bottom, and I have been using this non-stop since I made it last week, I think. I love it. I'm gonna make another one. I bought some fabric, which I will show you later actually. I bought some fabric and this was one of them to make some project bags, and I'm obsessed with this one. I can't get over how much I love this one. It's just so stinking cute. And like I say, I've used it non-stop, so this is technically a finished object, but it is currently holding two WIPs and both of them are for my nephew. It has recently been my nephew's birthday. He turned 3 and I wanted to knit him something, but I didn't think about it until too late really, and therefore I didn't finish it in time. But it's almost done now and he doesn't mind. He's going through this weird stage where he doesn't really like wearing clothes or getting changed, so I don't think he'll mind. I don't know if he'll even like it. He seemed to like it when I showed him it at the weekend, but who knows if he actually likes it or not. So, which side is the back? This is the back. This is my children's Kintra sweater. The Kintra sweater is a pattern by Rebecca Clow of the Crea Bea. I showed you it in my last podcast. I made one for myself, and I have used the Kintra pattern and the Tin Can Knits Strange Brew pattern to fudge a kid's version of the pattern. Rebecca is currently going through a lot of her patterns and getting her tech editor to grade them to kids' sizes, but I was just obsessed with this pattern once I finished mine, and I really wanted to make one for my youngest nephew. So this is it so far. I have finished the body and the body ribbing, and I have gotten one sleeve done. I'm on the sleeve ribbing of this sleeve. I just need to find my 3.5mm needle because I can't find it right now. And then I'll have one sleeve left and hopefully be able to get it to him pretty soon. The main, sorry, it's absolutely covered in hairs because I was working on it when my friend's dog came over, and she's a golden retriever and her hairs just get everywhere, including up my nose. But the main colour for this is Drops Merino Extra Fine, because I have a bunch of it in my cupboard back there in stash that I bought to make both of my nephews' jumpers years ago, and I'm just still working through it. It's in the colour 37 and it's a superwash treated extra fine merino wool. It is 100% wool, and they've had stuff in this before, so I know it works for their skin, and I also know it works from the way my sister washes her clothes. So that's why I decided to use it, and also it came out of stash, which is what we're trying to achieve. The contrast colours are all of the scraps I had that were blue or green. So I have a bag of them here. This is my bag of scraps. I still have loads left. This was my piece of paper that has all of the weights that it took me, but from memory I think none, for this kid's size that I've made, none of the yarns I used more than 5 grams per stripe, so really you can use teeny tiny amounts. Did I hold it double? Yes, I held my yarn double as well, and it still didn't use any more than 5 grams, so you really can use dinky scraps to make a kid's version of this Kintra. Yeah, so this is a bunch of different things that came from a plethora of different projects I've worked on. Some of this came from my Nervous Fibres sad vent, which I used to knit my Daphne's cardigan. Some of these are old socks that I have knit. I also made this nephew a hat a couple months ago, and a lot of these yarns are also in his hat, and he loves his hat, so I kind of thought that might encourage him to wear this jumper as well. So it's just a combination of a bunch of different yarns that I had in stash, and I just think it's so cute, and it goes really well with the main colour. So I'm really pleased with this. I've been using a jumper that my mum made for my nephews a couple of years ago as sort of size reference, as well as the Strange Brew pattern, as well as taking it to my nephew last week and getting him, he didn't let me put it on him, but hold it up against him to make sure the length and everything seemed right, and it definitely does. So I'm really hoping this will fit well, and if I finish it and I can get it on him, I will hopefully get a picture for next time, because I won't have this to him before this video goes live. But yeah, it's a gorgeous little Kintra. Hopefully, if you're not confident fudging the pattern like I'm doing, hopefully Rebecca will have kids' versions of her patterns coming out fairly soon. But yeah, this is a real winner. Everyone I've shown has been like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And my sister loves it, so that's the main thing. I knit mine on a 4mm needle, and I also got recently these little stitch stoppers, no, needle stoppers, and they're turtles, and they're adorable. So they are also bringing me joy. So that's the first WIP that's in this lovely bag. And then, so it was the night before? 2 nights before? 2 nights before my nephew's party, and I was looking at the jumper and I was thinking, there's no way you're going to get this done, Jo. You need to have something to give him, even though we had a full present for him anyway. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to cast on a hat, thinking I would get this hat done. Didn't even get close to getting this hat done. So now I just have a partially finished hat as a WIP as well. So this is a 2x2 rib hat. I'm using a free drops pattern because I didn't want to pay for a 2x2 rib hat pattern. I have the Musselburgh hat pattern that I absolutely love, and that's the only hat pattern I've got, and I didn't really feel like paying for another pattern for kids size. so I just found a free drops one. And it is a 2x2 rib hat, and this is all we got done. Oh my gosh, honestly, these hairs are everywhere. So I'm knitting this on a 3mm needle in Drops Daisy. My nephew's favourite colour is orange. I had some Drops Daisy left over from my Lilyhammer pullover, so I have 2 balls of this and I'm gonna need it. This is what I've got for the first ball, and I wear this little custard slice, which is from Chapel View Crafts, is the fold up of the brim. So I need to knit a significant portion before I do the decreases, and then obviously that will fold up and be the little brim for his tiny head. And I was kind of just hopeful that even if he's not wearing jackets and things right now, maybe we could keep him warm with a hat, and it's in his favourite colour. So yeah, this is a really simple 2x2 hat pattern. Right now, so far, it's just cast on and knitting 2x2 rib. I think because it's free, I think I can say I did a German twisted cast on because babies' heads are massive. And I also cast on 108 stitches, I think is the number it gave you. And I'm just knitting and knitting and knitting. And maybe I'll get this done before it turns into spring, even though it's 15 degrees today. But yeah, so that's my second WIP that's in that little bag, and my second WIP for that nephew. While I was at his birthday party last week, I also spoke to my oldest nephew because his birthday is sort of 2 months away, and I said, do you want anything knitted? Actually, my sister said, do you want WIPS to knit you anything? And I was like, guess I'm knitting him a present then. But he said, yes, I want a hat. And last time he was at my house, he picked some yarn for a hat, and I said, okay, what colour do you want? And he came up with a completely different colour. And I said, oh, last time you were at my house, you picked some yarn. Do you not want that anymore? And he was like, I don't know. And I said, okay, I'll just ask him a completely different question. I said, you can have a hat, or I'll knit you a jumper, but you can only have one or the other. And he went, oh, jumper. So I thought, right, okay. And previously I've shown him some jumpers, and he's always loved colour work. And one of the ones he really loved was the Cross Sweater by Petite Knit. So he has now chosen his yarn. When I was with him last weekend, I got him to choose the yarn. So he's chosen the yarn, and it's in colours I would not have picked, but if it makes him happy, that's all that matters. So I will be knitting the Cross Sweater by Petite Knit. I think it's in the 5 to 6 or 6 to 7 years pattern. Once the yarn comes in, I've bought Drops Lima to do that, but it's not here yet. So that will be in the next podcast because it will need to be getting close to being done. But yeah, anyway, that's unrelated. That is my WIPS for my nephews. I told you there was loads. I've already gone through 4 WIPS, and there's still an entire bag of WIPS to show you. It's ridiculous. The rest of my WIPS are in this gorgeous bag that I'm just going to show you now. That my mum and I got matching ones off of Etsy. Now this bag is humongous. I don't know if you can tell how humongous it is, but it's massive. And then not only is it massive like sideways, but it's also basically doubles in size. Oh my gosh, so much stuff inside. It basically doubles in size because it's got a drawstring bit that folds up and makes it really tall as well. So my mum and I both bought these on Etsy, and they were £20, which I thought was amazing for a bag of this size. It's not handmade. I thought it was Hello, I'm just editing. Just wanted to make a quick correction. I know that it probably is handmade by someone. What I meant was I thought it was from a small business it was made by a small business, but it's not. It's obviously mass produced. So just wanted to put that clarification in here before someone tells me, oh, they're all probably handmade. I am aware. And I just didn't want it to come across like I was ignorant to this fact. So all I meant here was that it's not made by a small business. It is mass produced. But it's by a company called Hobby Gift. So it is just machine made. And I do not know where it comes from, but both my mum and I have ours now and have been using them. So all of my WIPS have been sitting beside the sofa in this. So that's why I'm digging through them. This one is nice and quick, so we'll go through this one first. This is my latest blanket square for the Operation Christmas stocking. I cast this on yesterday because I only finished the yellow one yesterday, and it is looking like this. So tiny, so dinky. The pattern is a free pattern, so I can tell you all you do is cast on 3, and then at the start of every row you slip one with the yarn held in front, and then you knit front and back, and you do that and then you knit all the way to the end. You do that all the way until you get 80 stitches, and then you change your knit front and back to a knit 2 together and you decrease again. And that's all that the pattern is. I am using, again, some stash yarn. This is a yarn that was actually my granny's. My granny's passed away now, but this was from her stash, and I've got quite a few balls of it. And it's a acrylic wool blend, so I'm going to knit up 1 or 2 squares in the yarn I've got for this, and it should filter through some dark blues and some light blues. Some of the other balls have a lot more prominent light blue in them, so maybe they will look a little bit different, but this is my latest blanket square. I'm knitting these on straight needles, which is completely unusual for me, and also I don't even own straight needles, these are my mum's, because when we got back from Woolly Good Gathering, I stayed at my mum's house to watch the rugby with my family because my sister was down, and I didn't have my needle set with me, so she gave me her 4mm needles because that's what you knit them on, and so I've done all of my blanket squares on these straight needles and I haven't given them back to her yet, so that's why it's on straight needles. My mum's knitting them on round needles, you can knit them however you want, but it's a 4mm needle, a DK weight yarn, and like I say, cast on, increase to 80, and then decrease to the 3 again and knit 3 together at the end. And that's all it is. It's really straightforward. Like I said, if you want to do some of these, you can see the pattern down below, and you can reach out to me either via the comments or on Instagram at designs.madebyjo, and I can either help you by directing you to who might be able to take them off of you if you're not going to one of the Scottish Yarn Festivals, or I'm also going to be collecting some stuff and then dropping it off with Operation Christmas Stocking myself. So if you want to take part, please feel free, reach out to me on social media, and I will take some donations and I'll make sure they get to the right place. One of my friends on Instagram is posting some stuff to me, and I'm going to take it to Operation Christmas Stocking to get it into hands that need it this winter. So yeah, that was nice and easy because we've already been talking about it. And I've got 2 more. 2 more? I don't even know what this is in the bottom of this bag. Oh, I do know what that is. It's over there. I've got 2 more. One's crochet and one's knit. So we'll go with the knit one first, and then we'll finish with crochet. So this is my most recent test knit for Rebecca of the Creabea. I test knit for her all the time, and she has recently put out a test knit for the Lusk Tee. I test knit 2 years ago the Tulip tee. I test knit the Tulip tank last year, and this is her 3rd t-shirt, I think. And it's the Lusk Tee. It has a set-in sleeve, so it's different construction to the Tulip, but it's a similar gauge. And I wear my Tulip tees all the time, so I thought, why not try something different? The test started 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and I haven't really been working on it that much, and I need to really pick it up. But the yarn I am using, I'm using 3 different colours, and I am striping them together. I am using 2 colours of woolly knit cotton, 100% cotton 4-ply held double. The bottom one is the top one is apple green, and the bottom one didn't have a name when I got it because it was a cone. They do like ends of cone bags at the end of seasons, so I don't know the name of the blue, but it's like a navy blue. So I have those 2, and then I'm using cotton bambulino, which I'll get the label because I'm not going to pronounce that name right, which came from my lovely friend in Spain. This is the colour 65, and I am using that as well as part of my tee. And I am striping them. I think this looks, that is a pepper in the middle there, but it's sitting backwards so you can't see it, but I'm loving this. I think it's unique. I think it's something that I don't have in my wardrobe. It really fits with a lot of the things I'm seeing on Pinterest and the things that I'm loving on Pinterest at the moment. So I'm really excited to see this grow. This is the back panel, and I need to knit significantly more before it will be the length it needs to be, and then I'll be picking up and doing all the other fun construction stuff. So it has lingered a little bit because I have been working on other things and getting excited by other things, but I need to pick this up again and get it moving because I do not want to be rushing at the last minute of the test like I have been for the last couple of tests I've done. So this is on the needs to come back to the front of the pile type thing, and I'm going to put it at the top of my WIP bag instead of the bottom, and that might mean it gets picked up a little bit more, but I'm loving it. I think it's so cute. This is a little pepper stitch marker. I cannot remember where I got it from, but it's adorable, so I just wanted to show that off. I am knitting my Lusk Tee on 4.5mm needles, which I think is the suggested needle size. I'm 99% sure I got gauge with my swatch. And it's just living in a little drawstring bag at the moment, because then I can see what it is. A lot of my projects are living in these tiny bags. I have a whole big bag of these drawstring bags, because when I was ordering a lot from Wool Warehouse years ago, you got one of these with every single bag, and I've kept them all, and they make really good project bags. When I've got my big sort of WIP bag, they make really good project bags because I can just see what's in there and grab and go really quickly. So I'm enjoying that. It also protects them from bugs, and I mean, it should protect them from hair and stuff, but as my other WIPs had lots of hair on them, I don't know if it actually does. And then my final WIP, I told you I had a lot of WIPs, is a crochet WIP. I went to the charity shop in one of the towns nearby a while ago now, over a month ago, and they had a couple of things of yarn which I wasn't really, there was some nice stuff, but I wasn't interested, but they were also doing patterns for 50p, and there was 2 patterns. I've got the other one over there actually, which I can just grab. Come here, you. So they had these 2 patterns, they were 50p each, and they're for little crochet, I'm not even sure what you would call these, like baby blanket snuggly things. So I have one that's a bear, and I have this one which is a bunny. And it's the full pattern, shows you what yarn to use and everything else. And it's by Paintbox Yarns. And when I was just getting into crochet, I bought, honestly, a disgusting amount of Paintbox acrylic yarn, which is still in my cupboard, not my cupboard, my box down there. You will have seen that if you watched my stash busting video. But actually acrylic's really good for kids because it doesn't have like fuzzies like mohair does or alpaca does. It's really easy to wash, they can throw up on it, they can just be gross with it, and it can be easily chucked in the washing machine. So I'm using acrylic yarn for this, and I am crocheting the bear version. And actually I finished the crochet and it just needs assembled, which I haven't done because I was really busy last week, and I finished it when I was away at a work thing, and I just haven't picked it up since. So I crocheted this on a 3mm hook, and I used this brown colour for the actual bear, and I used a beige colour, which you can see here, for the blanket, which is in my bedroom, so I can't show you the actual ball. But I have crocheted all of the little pieces. So this is the big actual blanket, or I'm going to call it a blanket, but you know what I mean, cuddly thing. This is the big square. It needs blocked, but it's just a basic crochet square. And then you add the little bear to the middle, like you will have seen in the photo. So to make the bear, you crochet a little head. It's really difficult to show these tiny pieces when it's not one big thing, but you crochet a tiny head, which I have done, and then you crochet 2 tiny ears to go on the head, and then you crochet 2 little arms, which I've done. So all of the pieces are crocheted, ready to be assembled. I just need to find a time that I can sit down and get that done. Like I said, I'm at the age where babies will maybe be coming in the next couple of years for a lot of my friends. So I'm sort of pre-preparing for that eventuality. There's a couple people in my life that are having babies at the moment, but they're not people that are super close to me that I would definitely make them a gift. If I'm inspired and I want to make them a gift, grand, but they're not like, they're kind of like acquaintances rather than friends. Whereas I think a lot of my friends, my close friends, are going to start having babies in the next wee while. So I've taken inspiration from Ulina, from knitter from, oh my gosh, Norwegian knitter? Is it Norwegian knitter? I can't remember. I'll pop her channel on here. I watch her videos every week. I absolutely love her videos. And she has a son and she knits baby gifts for everyone in her life. And what she's done is she just knits sort of whatever she's inspired to knit, or makes whatever she's inspired to make, and then she keeps it in a drawer, and then that's her gift drawer for when people announce they're having babies or have baby showers. And I just think that's such a good idea. I love baby knits. I've been really into baby knits, if you couldn't tell from the hats and the jumpers and everything else. And when my nephews were small, I would sew them up baby clothes and crochet them toys and things like that. So what I'm thinking of doing, to get rid of my stash, because a lot of my stash is too small quantities to make adult things, is to make baby clothes and then keep them in like a little gift drawer. I know, for example, for my best friend, I really want to make her like a little wardrobe for her kid when and if she's able to have children. I would love to make her little dungarees for her baby. I'd love to knit her little suits and things, and I just know that's going to take some time. So I thought that maybe if I get started now, when all of my friends start to have babies, I can gift them all little handmade things. So a bit of a ramble, but that's where my brain is at the moment. And that is all of my WIPs. I'm just going to take a deep breath because that is a lot of stuff. And I, like I said, was trying to narrow it down. And I don't even have, other than the socks and that t-shirt, all of that other stuff isn't for me. It's for other people. So I'm actually feeling quite good about that. I've done a lot of giveaway knitting or charity knitting, non-selfish knitting. But I am keen to work on some stuff for myself. Coming up for me, I really want to knit the traveller hoodie for the summer. I have yarn that I got for my birthday last year. I love the traveller hoodie. I've been seeing other people make it. I think that's going to be my next big project for me. I know last time I spoke about the spot sweater. I have swatched for that. I'm still feeling a little bit overwhelmed by that project. I know that the pattern is quite difficult. I know she's recently come out with a new pattern which might be easier, but also I've bought the old pattern, so I feel a bit frustrated at having to buy a new pattern for exactly the same jumper, just like essentially fixing the old pattern. So until I either decide to get over that or decide to make it up myself, the spot sweater is still on hold. It's like a Mount Everest project for me. So when I start it, I want to be fully into it. And right now I'm still a little bit nervous. So that's on the back burner. But I want to knit the traveller hoodie. I'm desperate for that. And the other thing that's on my upcoming garments list for me is the Tide sweater, which is another Crochet pattern. It's coming out, I think it's coming out before the end of March. And I originally had the Tide sweater written on my list, but I have been reaching for my Daphne's cardigan so much over the last couple of weeks. I adore that thing. It is amazing. And when I first made it, I don't know if you were here for the ride, but I made it, had to rip it all back. It was a whole thing. I was really frustrated. I finally remade it, but I'm so glad I did because I wear it all the time. And I've got two other Crochet cardigans. I've got the, oh my gosh, I can't even remember their names. Sana cardigan and the Corin cardigan that I tested, both of those for Rebecca, both lacework cardigans, and I love them. But the Tide sweater, which is a wavy sweater that she's designed, is also coming out in a cardigan, and I think I'm going to make it in the cardigan version. I already have yarn for it in stash, so I don't need to buy any yarn, which is fabulous. And maybe I should get it to show you actually. Just ignore the mess that's behind me if you can see it as I spin my chair around. Oh, and I just stood on my mini iron. Whew, I'm back. So I haven't checked the meterage or the yardage or anything for this pattern, so I don't know if this is going to work, but I know that the pattern is knit in, she's knit it in, one of them she's done in Surrey silk, another one she's done in a different type of yarn, but I have these two yarns that have been in my stash for a really long time, and I don't know, there's something about this that makes me think this will be an interesting Tides cardigan. So these two yarns, this is the Kit by Beehive Yarns, which is her Surrey alpaca silk in the colour Aquarius, which is a bluey purple, and there is like spots of green and teal in it. And then this is by my friend Emma at Bobble and Badger. It's her Peppermint Pig colourway, and this is on her 75% superwash merino, 25% silk base. And I don't know why, but something is just telling me that these would be quite cute together in a wavy bit out there cardigan. So I have 4 of these, and I know I'd have to hold it double, so that's about, I can't do that maths, but anyway, I've got 4 of these, and I'm hoping that will be enough. I'll have to check the yardage, and I have 3 of these, I think. So if it works yardage wise, I'm going to give it a go, or I'm definitely going to swatch it. But this is my, hopefully it'll work to be a Tides sweater. If not, I will have to try and do some other working out to see what I could use for the Tides. But if this doesn't work for the Tides, I won't buy anything for the tides until I've sort of done the traveller hoodie and maybe done the spot sweater. But yeah, something I love this colour. I've loved it for the longest time, that's why it's still in my stash. This is my favourite colour, and I don't know, I just think they're quite cool together. Anyway, that's got me excited. So yeah, that's my upcoming plans. Traveller hoodie, which I've got the yarn for, and actually, I should just show you that too. Again, BRB. Okay, this is the yarn for my Traveller hoodie. It's a sport weight yarn by Quilted Crafts, which is an Aberdeen based dyer, and this is in the colour Blackberry. I'm obsessed with it. Every time I get it out, I'm like, oh, I love this, and I can't wait to make a hoodie in this. I think it's just going to look so nice. So yeah, I need to also cast this on. But I'm also like obsessed with vests at the moment, and I don't know if I'm confident enough to style vests enough to warrant making one. I'm really in love with, is it the Amy vest by Petite Knit? I know a lot of these patterns have been Petite Knit today, sorry. But it's got the buttons underneath the arm. I love that. So that's kind of on my radar. But again, I don't have yarn for that, so I don't want to be like planning patterns when I don't have yarn for it. So there's lots of things percolating in my brain for what I want to knit on. Oh, the Quilted Crafts just announced that at Woolly Good Gathering she will be selling the Destination Doodle Deck for Scotland. I have so many doodle deck patterns. I actually have a lot of them printed out and I love them, but I've never managed to tie myself down to an idea of what type I want to do. And Quilted Crafts is getting the Edinburgh Doodle Deck sets and also a kit. I'm not going to Woolly Good Gathering and I'm really annoyed about it, but maybe she'll have some afterwards that I could purchase from her directly. Or I have quite a few Coop Knits Socks Yeah DK yarns in Scottish colours like blues and greens, and I've got some leftover Highland Cow colours that I think from stash I'll be able to do something with. And I think the Scotland Doodle Deck will just be like the thing I need to push me over the edge to make a doodle kibble, and then once I've done my first one I'm hopeful that I will then just fall in love with them, because I've got autumn doodle deck charts, I've got winter doodle deck charts, and I just love the idea of cowls. I've worn my shawl, my pom-pom shawl, so much over the last couple of weeks that I think a cowl would work really well as well. So yeah, I've ended up on a ramble about all the things I want to make. I don't know how I got here, but here we are. What else have I got to talk to you about today? I have had some yarn in the post. I am buying the it's from Lay Family Yarn. It is their Santa Secret Sock Club, Secret Santa Sock Club, something like that, where they're making a Christmas yarn every month and you're meant to knit the socks in that month, and then you'll have a box of Christmas socks when it comes to December. Have I knit any of them up so far? No. Do I have 4 brand new skeins of yarn in my stash now? Yes I do. But it is what it is. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the club. Some of the colours don't scream Christmas to me, but sometimes I think that's nice because I have quite a few pairs of Christmas socks that I can only wear in December. So actually knowing when I wear them in December there's a little bit festive about them, but also knowing I can wear them outside the rest of the year is also helpful. So yeah, that's what I've been getting in stash. And the next part of the podcast I want to go into is acquisitions, and these are my acquisitions from the wool gathering at Winton. Now I made an Instagram reel about these, so if you've seen that and you don't want to stay, you're more than welcome to go, because it will just be me showing you the same thing, because that's all. Oh, and my fabric from for the project bags I want to make. That's the 2 things I'm going to show you. So if you want to stay, you're more than welcome. But if you've already seen that reel and you don't want to stay and watch anymore, then thank you so much for joining me. Equally, if you don't like acquisitions and you want to shoot off, please feel free, but I love watching acquisitions of other people, so I am going to go through them today. I am going to start with my wool gathering at Winton acquisitions because they are right next to me, and the first one is actually a project bag. I treated myself to a handmade project bag. This is by the 4th Stitcher and I'm obsessed with it. Have I got a project in it yet? No. Have I got all my purchases from wool gathering at Winton in it? Absolutely. But it's just, I saw it on the stand and I needed it. And then I walked away, I looked at all of the other things in the festival, and then I said to my mum, I need to go back and buy that before someone else does. And I did. And I love it. it was expensive, hella expensive, considering I can make my project bags myself, but sometimes it's nice just to support another maker and treat yourself, and I just love the houndstooth rainbow pattern and it's just amazing. So that was my first purchase and I love it. There is actually stuff in here for the giveaway for the wrap up winter cal, which is finished now, on the 8th of March. I haven't posted this yet, so I'm really sorry, Jo. Knit with Jo was the winner and I announced that over on Instagram, and she has won these 2 yarns which I actually had in stash, so these weren't bought at the festival, but they're living in here until I get them posted to her, so apologies, Jo, for the delay. I will get it posted to you as soon as possible. As part of that giveaway, I also bought a bag from Hodgehedge Creations. This bag caught my eye on the stall. It's so Scottish. Wool gathering at Winton was amazing, and it was like, it was a castle and it was filled with Scottish history and heritage. The grounds were stunning. It was a glorious day. Mum and I just had a fabulous time. I wore my Kintra and like loads of people came up to me and were like, oh, is that a Kintra? It looks amazing. What did you knit it in? And oh, it was just such a good day. But it really made me feel proper Scottish. So this captured that vibe for me. And it's really lovely because the winner is actually from Canada and she's going to get something that's like really Scottish and hopefully will introduce her a little bit to our culture, which is awesome. And as part of the giveaway, I also bought these from Hodgehedge Creations, these lovely stitch markers. So that is the prize that I will be sending to Jo when I get a minute to do that. But the rest of the things in here, except that, just get rid of that, are things that I purchased. So my mum and I purchased a pattern together, and this is the Emotional Support Chicken pattern. It looks like that. I don't know if you've seen them on social media recently, but I've seen loads of people talking about these emotional support chickens, and she had some on her stall. We bought this from Lucy Locketland. She had these on her stall and we were just obsessed with them. My mum and I, we stood there for ages looking at them. So we decided to buy the pattern, and Lucy was also doing this little set, which I thought was such a good idea. You get the yarn for the beak and the little giblets, and you get a pack of eyes for your chicken. So obviously, like, these are quite unique things that you probably don't necessarily have in your stash. And I just thought it was such a good idea to have the pattern and also the little bits that you need with it ready to sell. So my mum and I bought one of these because we think we'll get 2 beaks and 2 sets of giblets out of it. So, because you get about 8,000 eyes, so unless you have an alien chicken, you don't need that many. So we got one of these together and we bought the pattern together. And actually in this bag, this isn't from Wool Gathering at Winton, but That Lay Family Yarns Advent, no, not Advent, Secret Santa Sock Club. If you haven't opened them, if you haven't opened February or March, I can't remember which one this was, please don't watch this bit, but I have chosen to use one of the colourways to make my chicken. This is the colourway Heirloom Baubles. It's called the Santa's Secret Sock Club. And I'm going to use this main colour to make my chicken because the chicken that was on the stall was like this sort of colour and I just loved it. So I'm going to hold this stubble, I'm going to make a beautiful red chicken out of it, and I can't wait. So that's just in there because that's the chicken I want to make. But I promise you now, the rest of the stuff that's in here is from Wool Gathering at Winton. I bought this card. I cannot remember the name of the maker, which is really bad of me, but I bought this card. Hopefully it's not too bad on the reflections. But I'm going to actually put this in a frame and put it in our house. I just loved the sheeps. I thought they were so cute. I loved the tartan, so I bought this. Enough said. Loved it. I then bought some stitch markers from my lovely friend Emma at Bobble and Badger, who was the yarn that I'm going to use for the tides. She has recently started doing stitch markers and I had to buy some, basically. So, sorry for the crinkling. I bought 4, she was doing 4 for £10. My mum and I got one of the same ones, so my mum's got one, so I've only got 3 to show you. But this is the one both my mum and I got. I saw it on her Instagram beforehand and I had to have it. A little bicycle, a little green bicycle. Then she's done these 2 and they were just so cute, I couldn't say no. So one is a little flower and the other is a little peach. How adorable. So I got those from Emma. Oh no, I just dropped one on the floor. And then because I ran the make along for the festival and Emma was one of the organisers, she gifted me some yarn. So this is gifted, add gifted. she gifted me this just to say thank you for doing the cowl. And she basically said, go to the stand, pick anything you want. My mum knows who you are. Like, it's absolutely fine. Just go pick something. And I saw that she was doing this beforehand and it had to come home with me. She made a mini eggs colorway. Freaking mini eggs. I love mini eggs. I should have worn them today. I just bought some earrings from a clay earring maker called Whimsy Clay, and she's done mini egg earrings and I bought some and I love them. But anyway, this is Emma's gorgeous mini egg colorway. This is on her 4-ply sock base. It's speckled, it's pink and yellow and purple, and I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I'm so glad this came home with me. Thank you so much, Emma. Loved it. And actually the only other yarn that came home with me was from one of the other organisers. The second organiser of the festival was Buzzin' Yarns, and I had to pick this up. She had a sample of a hat, a 2x2 rib hat, funnily enough, knit in this yarn, and it was just amazing. It's called Down the Rabbit Hole, so it's from Alice in Wonderland. Oh my gosh, it was just, the hat was so good. This is her DK weight 100% superwash merino, and I just had to have it. I just had to have it. It just flew into my basket. It's the only yarn I paid for, other than the little chicken thing that my mum and I bought together, which was £3 each. This is the only yarn I bought, and I love it. I cannot wait to make a hat with this. It's just so beautiful. I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, this is just so I can show you the actual colours that are in it. It's just stunning. Stunning, 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 stunning. Okay, and the final thing that I got was a treat myself again. So this is by Pottery by Isla. This is her logo and this is her contact information. I believe she's Lucy Locketland's daughter, but I may have got that wrong on the day. I think that's what I heard, but if not, I apologise. But yeah, I bought a mug. Again, this was something I saw in advance of the festival on their social media and I was looking out for it on the day. I am not a hot drink drinker, other than hot chocolate. I don't really drink hot drinks. I don't drink tea or coffee or anything. So mugs, normal mugs with handles, don't really make much sense to me. And I think if I brought one home, my partner would be like, what are you doing? We don't drink hot beverages. But this little cup doesn't have a handle, makes me feel like a bougie person, and says knit happens. Like, how could you not want to take this home with you? It is so stinking cute and it's handmade pottery. I love it. And I just think this is going to be perfect for juice or a hot chocolate, or I can take it in the camper van. I am obsessed. My favourite colour is teal, like I mentioned earlier on. And she had a teal one of these, but it didn't have the same saying on it. And while I was standing at the stall deciding, someone came and bought that one. And I was too shy to ask her if she had this saying in the green colour, so I just bought the orange. I actually really like the orange. I think it's sunny, and sometimes it's nice to branch out of your comfort zone, and teal really is my comfort zone. My phone's teal, my water bottle's teal, like, yeah. So this came home with me, and I'm keeping it right now in its little bubble wrapped protective packaging because I just know that I'm clumsy as hell and I do not want to break that. So it's living in there until I finally take it downstairs and decide to use it for the first time. But yeah. So that is my haul from Wool Gathering at Winton. Again, apologies if you'd already seen this, but I am obsessed with everything I got. I think I did really well. I don't think I spent more than I wanted to, but not on yarn, which is unusual. I think this is the first time I've gone to a yarn festival and not come home with a disgusting amount of yarn. And I actually came home with a lot of notions, which was lovely. And more than that, my mum and I had a fantastic day. We were out, we were there for basically the whole day. We arrived at maybe 11, I think it opened at 10. And yeah, we left about half an hour before it ended. It was just phenomenal. My mum got a cup of tea from the cafe, I got a Diet Coke, we sat on a picnic bench in the sunshine, we did some knitting, we chatted. Great day, great day. I would definitely go back if they do it again. Right. The final thing, I promise you it's the final thing, is my fabric haul that I got. So let me just get that and hide my post address. So this is from a company, Blythe and Bonnie. I think they're a small business. I bought my stuff from them from their website directly, but they do have an Etsy shop as well. If you want to buy from them on Etsy. So obviously the first fabric I got was the cherries fabric. but I did buy quite a few others. So the first thing I bought was bias tape. I have made a vest for myself and I needed bias tape. It's in my favourite colour, shock, so I bought that. But the rest of these are project bag fabrics. I'm going to rattle through them fairly quickly so you're not bored, but this is the first one. It is animals doing yoga. Last year, up until October, I did yoga every single day, and I just couldn't say no to this. So I thought it was fun and interesting, and I love the dark colour because I don't really have any dark coloured project bags. So that is the first fabric. I should say everything I got a... It's not a fat quarter, it's called something different. They called it something different. Oh, nope, doesn't say anything. So it's slightly bigger than a fat quarter, I think. But I got that one. Then I've seen loads of bag makers using amazing book fabrics, and obviously I'm obsessed with books at the moment. I'm reading loads, but the fabric they're all using is quite expensive, and I found this one which is very similar vibe, but all of the books are sewing related, which I just thought combined both of my fun hobbies. So I bought that again to make a project bag. Another thing I really love doing is baking. So this was in the sale, so I grabbed it. It's a bunch of different types of cakes, which I thought would be good for a lining, if not an outside. Keeping it on the same theme, I got one of their bigger patterns, which is just cake making things you need to make cakes, which again, adorable. And then I got another sewing related one, it's going to fall off my knee, which is a bunch of notions and things that you might need to sew with. Again, trying the dark background because I don't have many project bags with dark backgrounds. And then the final one I got, which was quite similar to the cherries, is this stunning fabric. I think this is Liberty, and it's called Scottish Heather, I think. And it, again, just absolutely stunning. So I will be using that for a project bag. And then I also bought some interfacing, but that's boring, so you don't need to see that. It's just plain white interfacing. So yeah, I feel like that the way that I've just delivered all those acquisitions makes it seem like I've been buying loads, but I really haven't been buying that much. Obviously I bought this fabric, that came to about £30, which I didn't think was that bad for all of the stuff that I got, considering I could make like 8 project bags out of it. And then yeah, the wool gathering at Winton was a treat yourself, and that came out of my March yarn budget, but actually I bought one thing of yarn from there, so it really didn't add up to much. I actually haven't noted down what I purchased yarn wise in March, so I need to go back through, it's not the end of March yet, but I need to go back through my emails and double check any yarn purchases that I've made, for example the one I made for my nephew at the weekend there, and pop it on my list so I can keep a tab of how much I've spent this month, because that's what I'm doing, as I said last time. But yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed. I've been wanting to podcast for a wee while and finally found the time to do it today, so I hope you have enjoyed the podcast. I'm looking at the bomb site that's around me, there really wasn't that many finished objects and there was just a mountain of WIPS to show you, so I hope that you found that interesting and where my brain is right now. Hopefully next time I will have finished some of these and be able to show you some actual adult WIPS, or WIPS for me. And some more finished objects for the kids in my life. But I hope you're having a wonderful turn into spring. It's now officially spring here. Like I've said a couple times, it's toasty warm. I'm actually looking out at the sunshine, that's why I keep flicking my eyes to the outside, because I'm just so happy that it's sunny. I'm actually going to finish this up and I'm going to go and sit outside for 5 minutes to soak up some of the sun before it goes away completely. I think we're about to lose it again towards the end of this week, so got to make the most of it while it's here. But I hope you are enjoying spring, if it's spring in your area. If you're in the southern hemisphere, I hope you're enjoying fall or summer. I think you're not quite in fall yet. But yeah, I'm loving the turn of the weather. I can feel it energizing me, and yeah, everything in life wise has been super busy recently. Birthdays, loads of work stuff, weddings are coming up. I just feel like I've got non-stop stuff to get on with. I didn't actually mention this in my upcoming projects, but I've got a wedding probably before the next time I podcast, and I have to make a whole dress for that, so hopefully at the next podcast I'll show you a finished dress. But yeah, it's just been a bit mental, but in a good way. I've enjoyed it. I think that's everything. I think I'm going to stop rambling here. I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed sitting with me. Hopefully you were doing some sort of crafting or getting some chores done or something instead of just sitting and listening to me. But it's been lovely to spend some time with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.